Hi, my name is Susan Eggers, and I teach history and geography with Excelsior classes. Today, I want to talk to you about developing a strong thesis statement. This is the second video in a series. The first video was about choosing a great historical topic. So today, we're going to take that further and look at developing a strong thesis statement. Last time we touched upon the importance of having a strong historical question. And I told you in that first video that history research papers are not narrative. You're not going to simply be telling the story of the past. That may be part of what you do, but you need to take that further. And the way to do that is by having a strong historical question, which can then lead you to a thesis statement that you can work with. So last time we mentioned three qualities of a strong historical question. It should be analytical, open-ended, and argumentative. So if you have questions about what those mean, please feel free to take a look at that first video. We're going to go over that just a little bit more in this one, but if you have questions, they may be answered in the first video. So thinking about your topic and about your question, let's see, how do we take our research from a topic to a thesis? So let's say that I am interested in learning more about the end of the Romanov dynasty in Russia. So that's my topic. As I begin my reading, you see all of the books there on the slide. As I begin my reading, one of my first questions might be, who was the last Russian Tsar? And that's a good place to start, but that's not enough for a history research paper. That would simply lead you, at the very minimum, to an answer of Nicholas II, or it might lead you to describe his life and tell all of the facts that you have discovered about Nicholas II. But you need, again, to take that further. So as you keep reading, keep thinking about questions that you have, questions that you would like to know more about. And as you do that, you may begin to see this kind of progression happening. And you may come up with more specific questions. You may come up with more questions that would be analytical, open-ended, and argumentative. And you may end up with a question like the one at the bottom, where you begin to ask questions about what role did Nicholas II play in the coming of the Russian Revolution. Okay, now as you do that, as you read the historical literature, what people have written about Nicholas II and what his contemporaries have written about him, you will probably begin to see that there's some differing opinions about the role that he played. So his contemporaries, the people who knew him and lived at the same time, had different ideas about his reign as Tsar. And historians who have studied that time period and studied Nicholas II also have differing opinions. That's what we mean when we say an argumentative kind of question. That last question, what role did Nicholas II play in the coming of the Russian Revolution, is an argumentative question. And here are some possible answers that you might come across as you are doing your research. So some of them are focusing more on decisions that he made. Some of them are focusing more on his personality. This last point, some historians will argue it didn't really matter who the last Russian Tsar was or who the Tsar was at the time, that there were forces at work that were going to make this revolution or these revolutions happen in 1917. So there's different ways to answer that question. And once you get to this point where you are discovering what interpretations others have, you begin to see, look, those look like thesis statements, right? They look like thesis statements. Now, not all thesis statements are created equal, right? These weak statements, they are statements about the past, but they do not allow you to express your interpretation. See, the ones that are stronger will allow you to express your opinion about what you have discovered. Okay? So remember what we looked at last time about argumentative questions will allow you to express your opinion based on historical evidence. So if you look at these stronger questions and compare those to the weaker questions, you'll see what we mean by a strong historical question. The two key ingredients, if you'll notice, are your opinion and the historical evidence. All right, that's the recipe for your thesis statement. Take the historical evidence. You're going to spend lots of time reading and doing your research. And then as you do that, you will begin to develop your interpretation based on that historical evidence. Okay, let's take one more example to think about how to go from a topic to a thesis. Let's say that we are interested in World War II. Okay, so then the next step is to think about, what do we really want to find out about World War II? So you may start to do your research, and then let's say that we become very interested in the causes. What caused this terrible war to occur? So we have come up with our question here: of all the causes of World War II, which one was the most significant? Now, one pitfall that students sometimes fall into when you're looking at these different historical interpretations and these different ways to answer these questions, you may feel like you have to explain what all of the causes are. But that's not allowing you to express an argument if you're simply listing and describing all of the causes. So you need a kind of a question that will allow you to take a stand and to decide, based on all of the historical literature, the historical evidence that you have researched, what do you think? Which cause was the most significant? Okay, so let's say that we have collected a lot of information, and let's say we've come up with maybe 4 main causes. Now, of course, all of these play a role in the outbreak of World War II. Okay, so if you just by choosing one, that's not saying that you're ignoring the others. It's just saying, this is where I'm going to focus my attention because I've read all of these things. I've come up with these 4, and you need to choose one. You need to choose one around which to create your thesis statement. Okay, so let's say that all of these valid historical interpretations, we have read the evidence, and we have decided that we are going to focus on the harshness of the Treaty of Versailles. So the Treaty of Versailles is the treaty that ended World War I. And many historians will look at the outbreak of World War II and say, that's one of those factors. So you have chosen that one because it makes sense to you and because the historical literature supports that. All right, so now we have our thesis statement, and we are ready to go and write our paper. Thank you for watching my video. The next video in this series, I will be talking about the organization of your paper and citations, how to cite your sources. So please stay tuned for that. And if you would like more information about the classes that I teach with Excelsior Classes, please visit excelsiorclasses.com. Thanks again.